Hello everybody, and welcome back to episode 10 of my Dungeon Crawl tutorial series. I'm Icon, and this episode I don't have these nasty network problems, so we can chop through the walls today. And the plan is quite simple. I want to clear out through the walls, and then I want to I want to go for the... what's it called again? For the rune on the shoals. So Okowaru granted me crystal plate armor. Crystal plate armor is massive. It's basically the heaviest plate armor the game has in store for you, and this thing can be enchanted up to plus 14. This is, in that regard, the most massive armor you can actually get in this game. So, since my plate armor here is a plus 8 one, I'm not that terribly inclined to pick that up. So here's slime creatures. I think I already covered those, but if there are slime creatures inbound, it's best you break the line of sight with them, because they have a much higher tendency to break up again if they don't see you. While they see you, they are basically in this danger mode, and then they don't break up that easily. Alright, here's Yaktors. These are standard monsters here in the vaults, and these dudes always come with arbalests. Arbalests are most powerful crossbows, but if you wear something with reflection and a shield on top of that, these dudes are basically just killing themselves. So in the last episode, I didn't really cover the lore of the vault dudes fully. I was a little bit distracted, so I want to take this topic up anew today. So the Vault Wardens, the red ones, are the dudes that have access to sealed doors. On top of that, I haven't mentioned that yet. Every walled person comes with pretty decent gear. This one has a plus 3 war axe and a decent chainmail to wear on top of that. Also, they come with a pretty high amount of skill, so you should never take these dudes lightly. As you've seen, this fight has cost me around 100 HP. The red dudes are among the most dangerous ones because they can lock you in to very unfavorable engagements. So whenever there's a red sentinel around, you either focus them down quickly if you want to have your mobility back, or you teleport away, because after a while, the ceiling of the staircases wears off too. They also seal not only staircases, but also doors, so that's a pretty difficult and dangerous thing to do. So we're now going to explore the rest here. So the first 4 levels of the vaults will look all like this, and there is not too much of a difficulty jump in there. Of course, the monsters in Vault 1 are less dangerous than the ones in Vault 4, but it's really easy to not see any particular change if you are strong enough. The string is bad for me. It comes with negative resistance to fire, and I'm right now quite happy with my evened out resistance budget. So these dudes here, the Convokers, are my personal hate enemies in here. So they can do this word of recall thing. Once they start channeling it, they summon allies from somewhere on this floor and summon them around themselves or around your vicinity. Depends on your bad luck. And on top of that, they also have the ability to might other people, so that's just absolutely horrible. And here we see he's already chanting these, and a couple of turns later, this happens. And this is where you best just run, because the problem there is mainly that he's putting might on these dudes. And, you know, Orc Warlords are already bad enough on their own. You don't want them with a might buff on top of that. And, you know, Battle Axe of Electrocution and all, that's already bad enough if you take it without any extras. So I'm kiting that out. And I'm kiting further and further because you see those Orc Knights come with the enragement buff there too. And this can so easily backfire that I just decided I go all the way back, enable Heroism and Finesse, and take this fight very, very carefully. So here we go. But I'm chopping this dude apart quite decently, so we did this well. There's one Orc Knight with, or all the Orc Knights are buffed up with might, but we made it. So this might have looked like total overcaution, but I've died often enough to situations like these to be able to tell you that it's absolutely okay to do so. So here we go. The blue ones, I already covered those. They mark you, which will tell every enemy where you are, and they will close in on you. And they also do these warning cries, which means they alert anything around them. Those yellow dudes, by the way, their Word of Recall spell has a channeling time of a couple of turns. So if you are able to kill them in between, that works. I think if you will be able to silence them in between, that should work too. And here we have a really bad situation. We have the orange brain. They are really, really nasty buggers. They can they can summon shadow creatures. That's basically summoning incorporeal copies of monsters that can spawn on this floor, which is really, really dangerous because they hit like just real monsters. And they can confuse you. So they are just the most powerful summoners you will meet down here. Usually you will meet those in the depths, but, well, we're going to spread out here and hide around the corner. Usual rules of engagement apply, as with all the summoners. If they can't see you, they won't summon. So I'm slamming up Finesse and Heroism here right away to kill the Convoker and then the Brain. Here we go. And as the Brain falls, all its summons fall too. The Thunderhawks are weird dudes. They have been added only lately. They are on their own. You're just something similar like a giant. Damage-wise, a lot of HP. Pretty nasty base damage. But their real power comes from this call-down lightning spell, which is kind of fun, because they can't aim it while you're really close to them. This is an exclusion. They can only aim it at you if you're really far away. But as far as I've understood it, they don't need a line of sight or a line of fire, I should rather say, to get the job done. Therefore, very, very dangerous. And last but not least, the green dudes of the Iron Brands, they are the real supporters here. They come with healing spells, and Injury Bond makes it so that they share their HP with their allies. So basically, if you wound them, or if you wound their allies, you wound them as well. And here's a treasure trove. If you enter these, so I'd need to give it 8 scrolls of fear to enter this place. Let's see how many I've got. 2 only. So these are totally worth it, because you usually get a really, really nice amount of items down there, but they always come with some sort of a funky requirement, just like this one here. So, enchant armor. Well, no, I really don't see anything I want to enchant that desperately. Okay. So, my character is actually strong enough to already take level 4 of the Shoals. So we're going to... Oh, wow. Owie. So we're going to swap the environment after I'm done with this level. Just wanted to show that if you are not feeling ready for your next rune yet, a level of Vaults can really give you a little bit of a advantage level-wise, because the difficulty of the upper levels of the Vaults is a little bit less brutal than the depths, but still enough to keep you on your toes, and you also can gain a lot of loot there. But let's go for level 4 of the Shoals. So level 4 of the Shoals behaves quite similarly like the bottom level of the Snake Pit. So there's a certain setup down here, and this level is much, much more dangerous than anything we had in the Shoals before. I can't stress it out enough that these areas can't kill you that easily. So capital X to look around. So here in one of these chambers, and one of these chambers will be the rune we're looking for. We don't know which one, but one thing I do know, every one of these chambers is filled with nasties. So when you get in there, you see there's a couple of enemies. I'm now luring them outside a bit. Here, I really want to be fighting this as slowly and carefully as possible, because you can't kill yourself in the shoals that easily. You see, we lost 100 HP in that simple little engagement. Okay, so this was only a stash for a spellbook. And we've got to keep going. What the heck? That centaur came with an artifact scythe. Yeah, that can't happen, you know. The Scythe of Bongifad. Okay. Ripping. Not my weapon category, so I'm not too inclined to pick that up. Alright, so I'm working forward here very, very carefully. It's also a very good thing to orient yourself around staircases. So basically, right now I was hovering towards the next staircase, so I can't easily escape if things go really bad. Can't tell you how practical this can be. Alligator snapping turtles are massive. Take them serious. 144 HP. Remember that abomination a moment before? It only had 88. Massive AC and a whopping amount of 50 points of damage. So these dudes are really, really massive. But they have one big weakness. They're slow. So, oh, we just got smacked by a dispersal trap. So the basic and easiest trick to deal with these turtles is to pelt them with ranged attacks. Or if you are really beefy like my character here, you can also go with melee attacks. There's one last thing worth mentioning about these dudes. They can attack from afar, just like people with a spear can do. So they will start hurting you from one tile distance, and really aching here a lot. And that's the power of an alligator snapping turtle. I got an AC of 30. My dude is perfectly able to kill a lot of nasties, but that's more than I can take. So I did take down the impaler here with ranged weapons because, you know, I already did my little text about impalers a while ago, but I'll repeat. They are the most deadly melee dudes among the merfolk here. And taking them out quickly is always very, very, very good to do. So here's a nymph. A water nymph. I don't want to be in the range of her. Water nymphs can use this water strike to hurt you while you're standing on or above water, and they really do a lot of damage. And yet again, they don't need a straight line of sight to do this to you. And I got marked. So since I really hate being marked in a rune floor, I'm going upstairs with that. And you can already see, just fleeing like that, it cost me a ton of HP. So instead of going to the same staircase yet again, I'm swapping my location. And let's see, this place here is looking like bad news. So we're going upstairs one more time. And I'll take, where's the last down staircase? Let's take that one here. Here we go. That's the one I started on. And it's possibly a good one because it's far away from all the ruckus we created there. So there's a lot of baddies over there. So you see Merfolk Avatar, Aquamancers. We didn't have these yet too much. They are really nasty too. So they have pretty powerful spells. Primal Wave will knock you back and create a pool of water if it strikes you. Really, really bad news. So we're going to step around the corner here. And this is one of those situations where popping a Scroll of Silence is adequate if you have lots of trouble with dealing with enemies like these. But since my dude is already that powerful, I think slapping on one charge of Finesse should be enough, but I'm already down to 90 HP. It's because the Impaler is standing around the corner and slapping me. Alright, but we're getting done here. So there's 2 more Aquamancers, and my HP are running lower and lower. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to step aside here, yet again around the corner, to make sure the Aquamancers can't fling their spells at me. And as soon as they would start knocking me back, I'd be totally on my toes. So I'm sipping in a potion of Cure Wounds here, because I was down to 50 HP. That was not enough anymore. Okay. So, here we go. This fight, by the way, would go a lot less smooth with any other race than a Minotaur, because basically here I'm utilizing my massive amounts of HP to just face tank most of these things. By the way, this is a Kraken simulacrum. Remember Kraken? They work, the simulacrum of these, they work the same. But here we go, the Barnacled Rune of Zod. This was the one chamber we were looking for. And here's one thing, I'm out of here. You know, you can explore the rest of the floor if you want to, but for me, the shoals have killed me that many times that I've stopped exploring the last floor of the shoals as soon as I have that rune. It might be some sort of superstition, but I feel a lot better about that. I personally consider shoals 4 as one of the most dangerous parts in the game. So that's why I personally always fly away as soon as I can. And I'll leave that up to you, but you know, once you've lost a couple of successful people down there, just because you have to finish that floor, you're starting to think about those things a little bit differently, believe me. Now, we're starting to clear out the remainder of vaults now, because that's the next best thing to do. As usual, I'm working out on a schedule that works like this. Once I run into something that I can't handle, I'll check out another direction to go towards to. I did that several times before in this series, and I can't stress it out enough how much of a good strategy that is. So here, at the center of this little structure, we have a boss enemy, a golden dragon. So let's slap on the finesse so we can take him down easily. Golden dragons are basically the worst of a dragon that can happen to you. They are resilient against all manner of different damage types. They spit different damage types, if I remember correctly. And on top of that, they are really, really powerful on their own. So let's take down the Vault Sentinel before he marks me. And here we go. Boom. So, Control P brings up this one, by the way. My shields has went to level 12. That's good. Ironbound Frost Hearts. Now, these are new. Yeah, they curse the walls around you, and you will take damage. Cold damage if you're standing right next to walls. I guess these dudes got implemented into the game to punish gamers like me that like to fight in choke points, because the walls around the choke point hurt you then, and the more walls around your choke point they are, the more it will hurt you. So, but from all the walled personnel, I'd say the blue ones and the yellow ones I consider as the most pressing matters to get rid of. The blue ones because they mark you if they have a line of sight with you, at least, or a line of fire, I should rather say. And the red and the yellow ones because they will start to summon everything bad in the floor into one big nasty fight that nobody wants to do. And that's why they are, for me, the next worst thing. The red dudes, well, they are technically really bad, but practically most of the time it doesn't come that horribly. And here we are in a really nasty situation. So I want to get rid of the Thunderhawk here. That blink is also a very nasty skill. And let's get rid of that Orc Knight. But beyond that, I'm kiting into the wrong direction. We're kiting away from this, because I don't feel comfy with a multitude of orcs like that. Like I mentioned before, they buff each other, And the might buff on these dudes is actually way more powerful than I like it to be. Therefore, splitting them up like this and making sure that you're only fighting them one by one is a good way to go. Usually Minotaur fighters are that strong at this point of the game that they forgive you a lot of your mistakes. But you know, the less mistakes you make, the better you are suited for a higher difficulty race in your next run, or the higher your chances are of success with your Minotaur fighter. So here we're taking on one of these fights without the precautions. As you see here, I suffered 50% of my HP. This is not really deadly or anything, but you never know what might come around the corner. There might be one super bad, nasty enemy coming around the corner while you are at 50% HP. And that's when things get funny. So that's why I play like that, you know. Oh, a weapon boutique. Well, there's sadly nothing in it that strikes my taste here. Convoker again, stepping around the corner directly to make sure he doesn't have any chance whatsoever to summon baddies onto me before he's in my face. And now let's auto-explore this place more. Peacekeepers. We haven't talked about these yet. Peacekeepers are nasty. They are basically like the powered-up version of a Manticore. Their Barb's skill works just like the Manticore's ones. They spit that stuff at you, and when you're moving, you're getting wounded. And as soon as you don't move a while anymore, you get rid of it. Crystal Guardians, oh, I hate those. So Crystal Guardians have this extremely powerful Crystal Bolt spell that is irresistible damage, basically. And they're also very resilient. But luckily, my dude deals so much damage, it doesn't even matter. But Crystal Golems are among the worst things in the game. If you are a less powerful race, so to say. Oh, I'm marked. Let's see. I already cleared out so much of that level that the mark didn't even matter anymore. The Crystal Golems are really nasty due to their high AC, high HP, and tons of resistances. They are resistant against a lot of things, and if you are a spellcaster that relies on certain elemental attacks, you will hate these dudes a lot, because basically the best way to deal with them is physical damage, and only so and so few spells deal actual physical damage. And let's say hi to Mr. Asterion. Asterion is a servant of Makleb, so he can hurl destruction spells at you, he can summon big demons, and he can hasten himself. And he's really, really dangerous, therefore. So we're going to go into Heroism and Finesse, and I'm going to sip a Might Potion right away, because this dude is totally worth it. Right now, it looks all pretty harmless, and went out all pretty harmless, but the thing here is, you never know when this dude starts to summon the bigger demons that he can summon. Because Asterion on his own, well, he is dangerous. No question. But it's way, way worse if he starts summoning demons on you, on top of his dangerousness already. So here's Vampire Knights. They're basically an upgrade to the vampires. Mostly worth mentioning is their ability to paralyze and blink close to people. So that's a really nasty thing. If your MR ain't high enough, these dudes are absolutely deadly, and you don't want to wrestle with them. The ghouls, there's nothing more to say. Super beefy, average damage, the average undead from hell. At this level, not too much of a threat anymore, but at the beginning, super, super deadly. Here's the Crypt. This staircase always appears in the walls somewhere, and the Crypt, you might have already guessed it, is yet another optional side branch of the game where another rune can be found. The Crypt is among the most dangerous environments in the game, simply because down there you will face the worst of all undead enemies. And, you know, undead are really dangerous enemies. I know that were a lot of reallys, but you can't believe me that it's even worse than I said. So, jokes aside, the thing with the crypts is there's tons of enemies that have access to Torment, which just slits your HP down in half just because they were able to see you and use that spell because of that. Seeing you. It's a smite-based spell, so that means there's no chance in avoiding it unless you're undead. And here's the next thing. This whole place is filled with undead. So all the spells that only harm living beings don't harm your enemies. And then there's mummies that will curse you heavily when you kill them, and so on and so forth. There's just so much stuff working against you there that you gotta be really, really careful. A Revenant, well, that's the undead version of, well, it's an undead dude flinging fireballs at you. Spectral Cloud, it's life-draining, dude. As long as you're featuring some resistance to negative energy, they aren't that horrible. Without negative energy resistance, they can be really, really dangerous, though. Can't remember these from the last time I was playing. Maybe they got a reskin, maybe they are new. This game gets a couple of new enemies every now and then, you know. So we're almost at Vaults 4. Vaults 4 will be our last stop before we stop exploring this place, because Vaults 5 is an absolute nightmare. So here, I'm going a little bit sassy. That's why I'm starting to turn up heroism again. We're being swarmed by these dudes. Door was locked, and it was locked by this red guy again, so I'm running away now. I got rid of the red guy. I wanted to get into that room to fight there, but red guy said no. And as usual, we're looking for choke points here to get the job done. There we go. The Yaktors, by the way, are really the most harmless while they're close to you. I mean, you probably already guessed it because they're ranged people, but I meant to mention it. So, a Scroll of Bran weapon, huzzah. Let's hope it's going to be a good one. Scroll of Fear. Well, let's brand our Demon Whip and hope for something epic. Ugh, protection. Okay, dang. So the day that this Demon Whip gets a proper enchantment, I'm going to swap it. But before that, I'll be sticking to my +9 mace. So here's that Frost dude. Another Scroll Empire, but sadly... Oh, but, well, it's not that horrible. They got a Scroll blinking. Whenever you see a Scroll of Blinking lying around somewhere, buy it. They are so massively valuable. Can't tell you how much. Alright, there's a wizard, but the rest here is not that dangerous, so I'm just slashing it away. Ugly things at this point of the game aren't really dangerous anymore. The yellow dude here, by the way, had his Word of Recall already running. You see this by this little reddish icon at the upper right corner of his. And here things went really, really bad. See, that's the worst case scenario. I got marked, and red dude is locking me out of all the places here. So we're slapping that dude, and now I'm immediately running away. Because you don't want to be at the place where you've been marked. That's just a general sentiment about Dungeon Crawl. If you've been marked, get away from that place. You'll only find bad things waiting for you there. And here, this Iron Thunderhawk dude keeps slapping me with lightning, so I'll have to escape upstairs because he's been pelting me with lots of damage there from the background. These dudes are really, really nasty, especially if they get the freedom to prance around in the background of a bigger fight, like this one here. These Cyan Vault Guards, by the way, are the best that can happen to you, because they can't do anything. And here's our friend, the Ancient Lich. That's among the worst things that can happen to you. Ancient Liches, well, everything that has this Lehudib's Crystal Spear is just bad news. So this spell can do up to 150 points of damage. They also come with a Corrosive Bolt and a couple of other bad things. So if you are really angsty about these, you can always pop Scroll of Silence. I'd strongly recommend you to do so if that amount of damage here would over exceed your total amount of HP. Then a Scroll of Silence is totally in order. Otherwise, well, just slap it until something bad happens. you can still pop your scroll of silence after you've been brought down to 50 HP in the worst case scenario. Because as soon as you read the scroll, they can't escape anymore. There's only one thing that I really want to mention here. When you've read a scroll of silence, you will be unable to read scrolls on your own as well. So, if you want to TP away, make that decision before you pop that scroll of silence. It might be too late afterwards. Take this as a tip from somebody who already killed himself like that. So here we go, trying to kill that red dude again. And the green dude keeps healing and shielding those. That's why this fight is going that badly. But, you know, we've got to escape here. I don't want to be in a fight where I'm surrounded by that many slime beasts. Okay. Alright, you see, these slime beasts deal terrible amounts of damage. Well, it's just one hit there that just went on me. Alright, that dude marked me yet again, so we got to be very careful now. I mean, I guess I killed already a lot of the baddies here, so I'm going to take the risk. Alright, there's a wizard around the corner, so I'm going to sip in a potion of heal wounds. So, yeah, being marked really didn't work out, so we're going to teleport out of here. Just want to check out how many enemies are on the floor still, but we're going to escape here. Probably. Probably not. Depends on the dire elephants. So I'm going upstairs now? Okay. I only went upstairs with the ugly thing. If that wouldn't have worked, I would have went on with another scroll of teleportation. Because, you know, there are times at which you just burn through these. So you might already have noticed that Worlds 4 is a little bit of a different experience here. So, like I mentioned before, it all depends also a bit on how the environment is rolled. You know, this is all random after all. But it's always like that. The first couple of levels of the vaults are easy, and the closer you get to level 5, where yet another rune resides, the more dangerous things get. And this level can already be pretty dangerous to you. But, you know, as long as you retreat before things go bad, especially being marked, as long as you're running away whenever you're being marked, your chances of survival are a lot higher here. So, here we go. Couple of ugly things. And here the yellow dudes summoned the remainder of the enemies here on this floor. So I'm going to whip up my blessings here and mop them up. So with finesse and heroism, I feel strong enough to take down the rest of these dudes all at once. Although I gotta say, this is a sassy thing to do. If you want to go really on the safety way, you don't do it like that. But judging from my experience, this should be okay. But still a lot of enemies here. We're already no longer marked, but that doesn't matter at this point anymore, because obviously our enemies see that we are here and they're swarming towards us. So I'm really low on HP already. Dire elephant's hurting a bit, but I'm pretty sure that after these sentinels are gone, that's it. So you can also use the markings, of course, to clear out the level as thoroughly as possible, you know, fighting it out intentionally. But be really careful. You're teasing the bull there if you do so. Okay, that has been Worlds 4. So we now got 2 runes, and the next episode we'll have to decide where to go next. Either we go fishing for the next rune, but that's very dangerous, or we're going to explore other areas of the dungeons where we can find new stuff. So Elven Holds is a place where we could go next, or Depths. The thing is, the 3rd rune is always the most dangerous thing before you go into the actual endgame. So we're now going to leave this episode. I thank you so much for watching, And drop your comments down below. Leave me a thumbs up if you enjoyed. And of course, consider subscribing if you haven't done so already. And yeah, next episode, we're going to continue. See you guys then.